Oh, hey everybody, how's it going? There is currently 400 pounds sitting on top of my TV stand here. 115 pounds of McIntosh, 84 pounds of Rotel, and 201 pounds of me. I am glad that they overbuild these Salamander Designs entertainment consoles. All right, enough of the silliness. I'm not going to do the entire video from sitting on top of the TV stand, but today what I'm actually here to do is a comparison video between the Rotel RB-1590 and the McIntosh MC462. And the reason that I'm doing this comparison is because I am AV obsessed, and if you are watching this video, that means that you probably are too. Just going over a quick comparison of the cabinets and like physical build of the two amplifiers. The Rotel, you're basically looking at your plain black box. It's a very nice plain black box. Tops and sides pretty much built exactly like you would expect in most AV equipment. The front is a little bit nicer with it being the nice black anodized brushed aluminum with some fairly heavy-duty corners. But yeah, just pretty much a standard black box. The McIntosh, obviously a much higher-end looking amplifier. Like, this thing is audio jewelry, as well as being an extremely amazing sounding power amplifier. But you got the nice two iconic big blue VU meters in the front, the nice knobs, the very robust cast aluminum handles on each side, the all glass front, exposed heat sinks. This is the one thing I really wish, because if you open up this Rotel, there are some big heat sinks on each side for each of the amplifier like modules in there. I wish they would do something similar to the McIntosh here, having the exposed heat sinks, because I love the look of exposed heat sinks. But yeah, it's obviously a much classier, more expensive looking amplifier. But you don't just buy a more expensive amplifier because of its looks. I mean, some people might, but you buy it because it has higher end specs, right? So the biggest difference between the two as far as specifications goes, this guy here is rated at 350 watts per channel into 8 ohms, and really odd that they are this specific with the number, but 648 watts into 4 ohms, and they don't give it a 2 ohm rating. The McIntosh here is rated at 450 watts into 8 ohms, but then oddly, because of the way that it's a MOSFET design and they have separate taps for each speaker impedance, it has separate taps for 4 ohms and 2 ohms and 8 ohms. So it's rated to deliver 450 watts per speaker no matter what the ohm load is, which is a little bit of a different approach than most amplifiers, because most amps, you know, they at least close to double their power when you have the impedance load, but the McIntosh doesn't do that. The other biggest thing that I noticed looking at the specifications between these two is the Rotel is rated at 0.03% total harmonic distortion, while the McIntosh is rated at 0.005 total harmonic distortion. And they are very clear in the specifications to tell you that that is at any frequency and at any power from 0.25 of a watt up to rated power. They're saying that it'll only have 0.05% total harmonic distortion across the entire frequency band and across its entire power range, which is actually incredible. So that I think is going to be one of the biggest differences as far as the sound quality goes from this amplifier versus this amplifier. Another very small difference is this one is rated at, the Rotel, rated at 120 dB signal to noise ratio at full rated power, and the McIntosh is 122 decibels of total, or not total harmonic distortion, but signal to noise ratio at its full rated power. So that's not going to make, I'm sure that's not really going to be an audible difference, but it's a very minor difference that you can see in the specifications. So enough talk about the looks and the specs of the amps. The only thing that really matters is there a difference in sound quality between the two? I mean, obviously it's not the only thing that matters. Some people really like the look of the McIntosh, but yes, there is a noticeable difference between the two, but I am not going to be one of these audio reviewers that tells you that it is a night and day difference between the two. I have been sitting here with these two amps basically set up on the floor in front of my stand here and running them with XLR cables directly off of the Bluesound Node icon, and just as quickly as I can swapping the XLR cables and the speaker cables, listening to the same song on one amp and then on another amp, and then sometimes listening to that same song again back on the first amp, and just going back and forth just to try to suss out the differences in sound quality between these two. One of the songs that made it most obvious is a song by Maggie Rogers called Alaska that I was able to very clearly hear a difference in the vocal quality. She has not like a super high-pitched female vocal voice, that's a little redundant. She has not one of the most high-pitched voices out there for a female singer, but, you know, on the higher end. And with the Rotel versus the McIntosh, like the Rotel by comparison, the female vocals sounded just a little bit grainier, and on the McIntosh, they were much cleaner and smoother sounding, and also she stood out more in the sound stage versus the Rotel. And then also another one of the songs that I was able to call out a pretty clear difference between the two amplifiers was a song called Rattlesnake by Zach Bruggen and Jack Van Claff. I'll put the image up on the screen for like the album art or whatever, just so you guys can see it for yourself, because I may be getting those names wrong because they're a little hard to remember. But in this song, there are two male vocalists with slightly different voices. One of them singing out of the left speaker, one of them singing out of the right speaker, and they kind of go back and forth. And with the McIntosh, it felt like there was a little bit more body to the voices. Like you were hearing more of the depth and like chestiness of the male voices, and it was less noticeable, I would say, through the Rotel amplifier. And again, I can't stress this enough, like the differences that I'm calling out are literally within, you know, single digits percentages if I had to put a percent number on it. Like if this McIntosh is a 100% like perfect score, the Rotel is a 95, 96% on that same test. So it's not a massive difference. I'm not crapping on the Rotel in any way. It's an amazing amplifier. The biggest difference between the two happens to be in the bass though, and this was something that you could tell in almost every song, especially songs that basically call for your speakers to play like, you know, below like 40 hertz, like the really deep low notes. This amplifier seemed to be able to make my speakers play those ultra deep, like subwoofer level notes like flawlessly and easily, and you don't really hear that as much with the Rotel. It almost is to the point where with the McIntosh, plus my Canton Vento 896.2 tower speakers here, it almost is literally a difference of, with the Mac and the Cantons, you don't really seem like you need a subwoofer because it can just drive those speakers basically to their maximum. And the Rotel, I think it probably can do it. And I don't know, maybe the McIntosh is boosting up the bass a little bit more than what would technically be accurate. But with the Rotel, it just sounded a little bit leaner, a little bit flatter in the bass. Like it sounds like you're missing the subwoofer, you're missing the sub bass. And with the McIntosh, that just was not a thing. Like it just, if the song called for 25, 30 hertz bass, these towers will do it. And then they are rated down to 20 hertz from the manufacturer. I mean, the manufacturer says that these towers will play from 20 hertz to 40 kilohertz. They don't tell you whether that's a 10 dB or a 6 dB or a 3 dB down point, but they tell you that the frequency response is 20 hertz to 40 kilohertz. And this amplifier just really, really like could drive the Cantons to the point where I was just getting those like subwoofer level frequencies out of it. So just to sum up, the McIntosh, better in the bass, especially in that super low sub bass region, felt like a little bit more body in the mid-range, and smoother, cleaner highs, while still being just as detailed as the Rotel. The Rotel, you know, in comparison, particularly female vocalists in the upper registers just sounded a little bit more grainy almost, and then the male vocalists in the mid-range didn't seem like they had quite as much body, and it feels like it almost just feels like the natural roll-off of the speakers is what's occurring on the Rotel, and the McIntosh is just not letting the speakers roll off. They're like, feels like the McIntosh is like, no, this song is calling for 25 hertz of bass, and you are gonna do that, is what it feels like. The McIntosh is just telling the speakers, like, I don't care if you don't think you're capable of that, I know you can do it, and it's pushing that bass. So is it actually worth spending over twice as much money on this McIntosh versus the Rotel? Well, that is 100% up to you and what your budget allows. As redundant as that may sound, because most of these comparison videos end this way, yeah, it literally comes down to your budget. If you have McIntosh money and this is what you want, this is what you're gonna buy. Because basically nothing looks this good, in my opinion, in the audiophile world. And I have been to shows like Axpona and the Home Entertainment Show and stuff like that, where they have, you know, the $1 million sound systems in some of these hotel rooms. And there are a lot of really cool, interesting looking amplifiers out there. But I think that the McIntosh just has that perfectly good, like, it's not too ridiculous, it's not gaudy and over the top. It looks just incredible, and it actually has the performance to back it up. The Rotel, it's a great amplifier. It sounds so good, and at the, you know, under half of what the McIntosh costs, this thing is going to give you pretty much everything that you're looking for at its price point. But if you have the money for the McIntosh, then yes, like, buy the McIntosh, obviously. If you're shopping in this price range and you are wondering, man, should I just like save up or finance a little bit more to get the McIntosh? If you are looking at this Rotel, you're not going to be missing out on a whole heck of a lot by going with the Rotel versus the McIntosh. So if trying to get the McIntosh is a financial hardship for you, then do not like overextend yourself to buy the McIntosh. Just buy the Rotel and you will be perfectly happy with it, because it is a great sounding amplifier. It's just, this is a situation where you spend more money and you get more performance. Now, if I had to put a percentage grade on both of these components, I would say, You know, the McIntosh is going to be 100 while the Rotel is a 95%. Like, that's how close they are, which a lot of people are going to hear that and think, well, you're only getting 5% more performance out of the McIntosh and you're spending more than twice as much money. That's a terrible value. And to a person that says that, I would say, look at every other industry out there. Like, if you buy, you know, the like top of the line, most highly spec'd out, like Toyota Camry, for like, I don't know, I haven't looked at anything like that in a long time, but I would guess probably somewhere around 40 grand for something like that, versus like a top of the line, like fully spec'd out Mercedes C-Class, which I believe that's their smaller sedan, so that would probably be competitive in like the size as with a Camry. That's going to cost you probably over $100,000, so that's going to be a car that's going to cost you more than twice as much. And are you getting twice as much car? I mean, I guess some people might say yes, but it's not going to go twice as fast. It's not going to get double the gas mileage. It's not going to be twice as comfortable. Like, it's just, you got to take everything in the context of diminishing returns. Like, once you get to a certain point, you have to spend an exorbitant amount of more money to get like incrementally smaller amounts of performance increases. So it's the same thing with another one of my big passions and hobbies is computers. And when you go from spending $500 on a graphics card to $2,000 on a graphics card, are you getting 4 times the performance? No, not really. You're getting probably 3 times the performance, but it's particularly toxic in that space because there are some YouTube reviewers who like have a very, very strict opinion that if you spend X amount more dollars, if you spend 50% more money on this processor, it should be 50% faster than the next processor. But just nothing works like that. Maybe at one point in time in history it did, but especially nowadays, when there's so many commodity level products versus the higher tier like luxury products, there is like almost nothing that works in the like the one-to-one scaling price to performance level. And this McIntosh is pretty much like a super shining example of that. Like, if you're the type of person who wants to spend, you know, an extra $5,000 over something like this, the Rotel, to get an extra 5% in performance, if you're that obsessed with your audio performance and you have the disposable income to do it, then there's nothing wrong with buying this high end of a product. But if you're the type of person that can't imagine doing that, then it's not for you. And so this is, I feel like I had the same conclusion actually when I reviewed the Rotel and I was comparing it to the amplification that's just built into my Marantz Cinema 30 AV receiver. And some people in the comments were saying like, oh, that's ridiculous. Why would you buy an amplifier like that? Especially because you should have a crossover set so the bass isn't going to your towers anyways and it's all going to your subwoofer. That I don't agree with that advice. If you have big bass capable towers like I do, having full range bass coming from the towers and the subwoofer, it's going to give you a pretty similar effect to just having multi subwoofers. Because I live in an apartment here where I don't have space for another subwoofer. So having my towers playing full range, which they are capable of, and a subwoofer is essentially giving me the same thing as having multiple subs. So I'm rambling now. But if you guys like my ramblings about audio, video, gear, and you want to see more of it, make sure that you like this video and that you subscribe to the channel. And I really, I have a goal in mind. I want to be at 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So I need your guys' help to make that happen. If you like the channel, then try to share it in as many places as possible to get me some attention. I've been trying to get speaker manufacturers and other manufacturers in the audio video world to send me review samples, because I'm tired of buying stuff and then returning it to stores to make these videos. So I need this channel to grow so that I can get to the point where I can get review samples. And also, if you guys know anybody in the industry, definitely try to share the channel with them. There's gonna be an email address in the description. I would like basically anybody who is in the audio industry that wants to reach out to send me review samples to reach out to that avobsessed86@gmail.com email address. And yeah, I would really like to review more products, especially new products that are just coming out to the market, because those are the videos that tend to perform the best. So yeah, that's all I really have to say right now. I'm kind of rambling again, so I'll see you guys in the next video.